The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Magic Mike Show, episode number 409. We're joined by a couple special guests today. Magic off. He's up in Michigan. I've got Aaron Halterwood with me. And then we have Chris Griffin down here, the track announcer for Parx Racing Monster Day coming up on Saturday. 5 graded stakes, $800,000 in listed stakes, the 4 races before that, a plethora of pick 4s, and a mandatory payout on the pick 5. Chris, you excited for Saturday? It's a huge one.
Yeah. Who's singing in that song? Who's in the intro song? Who's that? Is that you?
That is not me. We have a guy who just likes to watch these shows and make up intros for it. It's phenomenal.
That's all right.
Out in California, Ryan, he's amazing, man. It's a blast.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good, man. No, happy to be on with you. You know, Mike, you and I have talked many times. We don't get face to face very often, so it's nice to be able to do that. And happy to be aboard, man. Just getting involved in 13 races, a big card. It's great to see that people want to get involved in the wagering action. Of course, I know you guys could talk about the Philly Big Five later, but a mandatory distribution for the bettors out there that want to take part. Obviously, kicking off with a 13 and a 14, looking at you, 15 with MTOs involved in the Turf Monster. So that's going to be exciting. Looking forward to the wagering opportunities for folks out there. Looking forward to the big races. This is our day to shine as far as what we do in Pennsylvania, the biggest day of racing in Pennsylvania. And the racing office did their job. I've said it repeatedly that there's a lot of people back there that get on. I'm lucky to be able to do this stuff. Get on camera and be able to talk about and promote and do what we do. But the people that work back there, phone calls and back and forth and making sure these horses can ship in. It's exciting. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to a big card on Saturday. Hopefully we get some nice weather. I think it's going to be a little bit cooler, kind of in that 70, 75 degree temperature range. Don't quote me on that because it's the East Coast and I'm done predicting weather out here. They said it was going to be sunny, no problem. And then like clouds show up. It rained like for an hour here, not 3 hours ago. So, and that's something to take note of too, just a passing shower, but we had a good turf course on Wednesday. So we'll see how that plays in for Saturday.
When you mentioned the turf course, I'd love to just jump into the kind of handicapping Parx side of it. I know not a lot of people play Parx every single day. I play it a lot on Monday and Tuesday through tournaments. The turf course doesn't get used all of that often. Can you talk a little bit about the turf course, how it generally plays? We obviously have a couple stakes races we're going to be talking about on the turf.
Yeah.
Are you looking for front runners in those sprints? Are you looking for horses to come from off it?
Yeah, it's a good question, Mike. I mean, you take a look at the turf rail. So the turf rail has been out at 22 feet here for probably the past month and a half, I would say. I'd have to look back to how far back we've had it. The turf rail is going to be down. When you have these big field sizes like that, the turf rail is going to be at 0 feet. So with a little bit of give in the ground, with the rain that we've seen, I think you're going to start to see some of the horses possibly come from a little bit from off the pace and be able to go ahead and catch those front runners. Is the speed going to hold? It can if you've got the right horse. That's Right is a horse that comes to mind right away, right? You take a look at a horse with a rail draw here that's got one way of going. It's right to the front. Is this horse going to find that early speed and take them all the way at 5 furlongs to just say go, go, go with Andy Hernandez for trainer Michael Moore? So I think it's going to lend to the best horse winning that day with big field sizes like this. Obviously on turf races, trip is everything, not everything, but it's a big part of it as far as how you handicap the races. And then we got the chute. So when they come by the chute there in the lane, they're going to be able to open up and kind of spread out a little bit even more. So we'll see how that all plays in, but it should be a nice field there to kick off things in that Philly Big Five. And you can make a lot of different handicapping decisions because I don't know how deep you go on the ticket there to kick things off. Do you have a real strong opinion, or do you say, man, I got to spread here to stay alive? But then you better have some real strong opinions later on the card, like I know you guys do. The handicapping you guys do is phenomenal. So when you take a look at later on the card too, where do we find those singles? Where do we find some of these horses that we got to feel like, look, this horse is either going to make my day or I'm just not going to get there?
Yeah, Aaron and I were talking before the show just about how phenomenal this pick 5 sequence is. I mean, you mentioned it starts out with this massive field. You have to make decisions on where you're going to go short here because you want to go 5 or 6 deep in some of these early races. 2 monster races on the card, obviously the PA Derby, then the Cotillion. Let's start with the Cotillion, start with the girls here. Coming into it, have you seen any workouts over the track? Anyone who seems to really like it? Is there anyone that you're favoring in that race?
Yeah, as far as horses that they're starting to show up, you're starting to see the horses ship in. Adair Manor got a feel for the track here. They got here on Tuesday, so they were able to get over the track there from the West Coast runners. Secret Oath, she's here. She's schooled to the paddock. I saw her today, and you're seeing plenty of videos of her just getting acclimated. She's well traveled and she knows this game, and she's had what are we looking at? 11 lifetime starts. She's had a strong campaign. She's had 5 victories. Dwayne Lucas is going to be here in Bensalem to join us here. He's being very gracious to join us for a press conference tomorrow morning. So really looking forward to that. Green Up, I think, is going to be the horse that people start to really take a look at. If you go back and watch her performance, that I do, I like to watch replays and I start to watch how horses are traveling. Look, she's won 4 races in a row. She's done it in dominating fashion. She's come back and been lights out in her last 2 starts. She ran a good number last time right here over the surface, going 1.70 miles. And it just looked like the way that she opened up, she drifted out a little bit into the lane, but that was just because she was just sprinting away and she had so much left. She's going to go 1.16 miles, so there's not much of a change in distance. She's going to be able to handle kind of the same thing. I guess the only question is she's got the rail draw and Adair Manor's right next to her. What do you do first? Adair Manor hasn't been seen since the Black Eyed Susan. I think that's an interesting tactical decision to make down there towards the inside. And Secret Oath, we know her style, but how close is she going to be to the pace? There is speed in here. Society's got speed to the outside. Gerrymander's even a horse that, she might lay a little bit closer. Goddess of Fire, she's probably going to take back. And Morning Matcha, talking to the connections there, she's going to be the second longest shot in the field. This is a horse that is 4 for 5 at Parx. If you're looking for some of that value, I know that they've talked about the tactics they want to take back and then make that one big run. She was a little closer to the pace last time, maybe a little bit closer than they were envisioning for her trip. But she's a horse that does like this racetrack, and if she gets the right trip and does get the right setup, she could make some noise. Whether she's going to outrun a Secret Oath in the stretch, those are the grade 1 type questions that the bettors out there got to ask.
Yeah, this is a fun race in my mind. You mentioned Adair Manor coming back to the Bob Baffert barn. We'll see if she can kind of rekindle what she had when she was with him earlier this year. The pace projections, it's tough to figure out who's going to be out there. I like the call on the one Green Up. Really interesting horse, especially with that nice win over the Parx track. Mentioning that, are there any horses that maybe on these days when you have all these horses shipping in, the bettors gravitate toward those horses that are shipping in, and sometimes the local horses get overlooked a little bit. Are there any local horses in these later stakes races that you think, obviously Morning Matcha one that you mentioned, could kind of jump up and surprise her if she can handle the class? Is there any other local horse in these later races that the bettors might overlook that you think has a shot based on just what they've done at Parx?
Man, that's a good question, Mike. I always depend on you for the good questions, man. That's a good question. But yeah, you take a look at Morning Matcha. I pointed her out because I just think from the local contingent, she at that price would be the one that I say, man, I could see her. Butch Reed knows how to win races. He's won many races at very high levels, at the highest level, so he can get it done there. As far as looking at the Derby, there's some questions. Naval Aviator really hasn't done a whole lot wrong here recently, but this is also a much different level that we're facing that afternoon. JKX Racing, Abner Adorno, he got a grade 1 mount last year when he was on I Am Redeemed. So, maybe they get the right trip from the outside and maybe it can kind of stick around. It seems like We the People goes to the front. So whoever's going to be up on or near the pace, and if they're not going as quick, maybe it does set up. Simplification got here 2 weeks early. I don't know what that points out as far as, Antonio Sana said, let's get this horse comfortable. Let's get him on the racetrack. He had some time off. Antonio Sana has said that he liked the way that he came back in the West Virginia Derby. To run a race like that, they felt like that was a good enough performance here to now catapult him to the next step forward. He was coming off a layoff and was on a sloppy track last time. That's the other question. How do you take the horses off of a sloppy track effort now coming over to what we are looking at and forecasting to be a fast main track on Saturday afternoon? The Alphabet Soup is pretty much all local runners that's going to be in that sequence. It's a Pennsylvania bred stakes race. You Must Chill won the race last year. Is You Must Chill in the same type of form, though? You take a look at some of his running lines here. He can obviously win this race. Wait for It's kind of bounce back in form a little bit. So that closing leg, a second behind Midnight Harbor, or when you're taking a look at that final race, I got so many notes. Midnight Hauler, excuse me, not Midnight Harbor. Off of that win over at Penn, You Must Chill is now coming back over here to Parx, but off of 3 kind of okay efforts, finished behind Byland and See, who's going to be in this race down the rail. So that closing leg, yeah, that's all local horses for the most part, and horses that are very familiar with this turf course, and a tough way to end the sequence, I think, because could it be chalky? Yes. Could you see a little bit, something kind of wonky happening there in the last? I could see that taking place. But look, the horses that are shipping in for these Grade 1 races for $1 million, they're here for a reason. They know that they've got a live shot to win. It's good to see our local connections in here. Icy Storm, that's the horse that comes to mind. Adam Bowman, I couldn't be happier for Adam Bowman, a journeyman jockey that's been here at Parx, and he does his job. You know what I mean? He gets out there in the morning. He's up there every day, and he does the hard work. Whether these horses can run against horses of these caliber at this level on this stage, we'll find out. It's great to see those connections in the race, but they're going to have to run some big races because there's some very, very good Grade 1 caliber horses. 4 Grade 1 winners in a Grade 1 race, the BetPTC Pennsylvania Derby. I mean, it's impressive. And a big field like this, I would think that the connections think it's wide open. You know, you get 11 horses in there. I think they think it's an open race. So
yeah,
I feel like I'm doing all the talking. You guys are the announcers. We just can't stop. I've been guilty of that before.
That's actually a great transition because I love hearing about the card. I want to talk a little bit about announcing, right?
Yeah.
So there are probably 3 thankless jobs in horse racing. Actually, there's plenty of them, but 3 of the ones that people get on people about Twitter are morning line makers, jockeys, and announcers, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've gotten it all from the announcer side of it. What goes into a day of prepping like this for you? I mean, you obviously have a ton of notes for this show. I can't imagine how many notes you have for a day that you're going to a race. And then what do you do to prepare for it? Do you have, I've seen the little sheets with the silks all colored out. What do you do to kind of make sure that you knock it out of the park on a day like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's the preparation of looking and knowing. I'm pretty familiar with the runners that are going earlier on the card. That's actually the ones where I'm like looking at it because you got 2-year-olds, you got a lot of first-time starters, you got names that you probably haven't seen before. That's the first time. You want to make sure you get those right. I do post parades here at Parx. On our normal days, I'll do the horse and jockey, but for 10 stakes races, that's a lot of owners, that's a lot of trainers, that's a lot of jockeys to roll off in the post parades and make sure that you do it professionally. So shout out to any owners out there. If any of those names are tough, so I don't botch it on Saturday, it's always appreciated to let the track announcer know, hey, it's pronounced this way and it's pronounced that way. I invite those things. Be nice about it. But I mean, it's just those are things that can only help the announcer showcase what we want to watch on the track on the biggest day. So for me, the preparation is, man, just it's hard for me to sit still. You know me, Mike, from other racetracks I've been and whatnot, whether it's TikTok, whether it's the phone, whether it's social media. I just love being able to feel like it's an event, not only on our biggest day, but it's an event every day. Yeah. Our athletes don't leave, right? The horses are back there on the backside. I have an opportunity to be able to get coverage and to bring you the story of a $5,000 claimer, but I can bring you the story, of course, of a Grade 1 horse that's here for our biggest day. I think that's vital. I just think that from a coverage standpoint, I think it tells you the story. We have the opportunity to race year-round here at Parx, so when you do that, again, you have the opportunity to tell so many different stories, let people see who the trainers are, let them at least know where these trainers come from. These people work so hard daily. And grooms, hot walkers, everybody in the barn area. So it's just nice to be able to promote that and share that a little bit with the audience. For this day, 13 races. I've looked at the field. I look at the names. I'm not a big color my program the day before guy. I'm not. There are ways that you can do that. For the most part, because I probably will do it. As I say that, I probably will do it because, right, for the Grade 1s, the BetPTC PA Derby and the Cotillion, we probably know what the silks are going to be when they come out. So, I can color those in and start to get in that mindset. I really don't. It's hard to kind of go over all the scenarios in your head. Even if I do it, I just am not trying to do it too much to that extent. I handicap. I take a look at it. I know that, maybe the race is going to shape out this way, so I'll take a look at it that way. I've got a full set of markers. I ran out of black ink. Black ink is very strongly used, so I had to get a new set of markers for that. And red The red and the black had to be replaced, but everything else, blue, yellow, green, everything else is all good, because there's nothing worse, Mike, than on that day, if you don't prepare ahead of time, it's like grade school again, right? Like I'm drawing the blue and I'm out of ink or something like that. And now I'm like, does anybody have a blue marker on the premises anywhere to help me color my program? But the silks only help me do what I got to do on that day. And the vantage points are fine. The sight lines are great. So for me, it's taking a deep breath. Luckily, I don't have to handicap. I can leave it to guys like you, like you guys, the dudes out there that could put the handicapping and help people really find their way from a wagering standpoint to get involved. Jessica Paquette, who I'm sure you've come across, wonderful. She's going to be added to our on-site coverage, and she's going to be here on joining our team, and she'll have paddock previews. She's going to be doing selections, because for me, handicapping and the selections is also a much different thing than, handicapping and calling the race and taking a look at it. So to be able to really focus in and hone in on that, that's what I do appreciate here on a day like this. But it's a lot of the same stuff. I don't know. It's just nothing really changes. You don't change a bunch of different techniques. I think the excitement level, obviously,
for sure.
Turn up the volume a little bit, not too much, but a little bit.
So got a couple more questions for you real quick. This one came in the chat from Shadi. What's your favorite horse name that you've gotten to call so far? And you've been all over the place. For people who don't know, Chris, he was at Sam Houston at Parx. You've been in Naira. We'll talk about that in a second as well. What's the favorite horse name that you've gotten?
Oh, this is so hard. When it gets to the favorite horses and whatnot, it's just so hard. Now, there is an Arabian race that I called on the fair circuit one time. The horse's name was all one word, and this is not even a thoroughbred that I'm calling, obviously, but it was Kissa My blank, and then Ra is how the name ended, and it just all was one word together. And as you said it,
you realized.
Well, but the sire and the dam, like the way it shaped out, it did make sense. The name did make sense. Yeah. But when I kept looking at it, I was like, how do you put how do you say this?
And did the horse win?
But also not say, of course the horse can run. Yeah, of course. Of course. I don't remember if it won its debut or won its second start, but the horse definitely won from the back of the field, for those that are putting the pieces together. And it was I don't know about fun, but that was one that does stick in my mind. Like, why do you do this? Why?
All right, so we always hear the announcers make these calls, right, with the little catchphrases, the cliches, all that jazz on these bigger races.
You asked the wrong guy.
Have you thought of any yet for the PA Derby? Are you going off the top of your head for this one? I can't do it, man. It's one of those things that it's not that I feel like I don't deserve to get those cliches and to kind of get into that. I think there are iconic moments, Mike. I get it. There's these iconic moments that I've heard and we've heard that you can just replay, right? You see the race and you know what they said. The greats that have been in the booth, that exactly that moment. They take you right there. I'm humbled to be able to get the chance to do this in grade ones. And if it comes out organically and it's something that absolutely works and it's a home run, then I hope that does happen. Will I prepare a few little things, maybe write a word or two down that makes a lot of sense? Yeah, I think that there's some words and things like that can come in your head. But it just, for me, I want to make sure I get it done right. I want to be accurate. I want to make sure the bettors are enjoying my race calls. I want to enjoy watching these great horses tell the story and just narrating it correctly. Now, if a horse goes out there and is going to win by 15 lengths or something like that in one of the big races, I probably better have something ready. I mean, I better have something kind of in my mind that I would like to use. But as far as the preparation on that stuff, I don't get too much into that yet. I don't want to have. There's some serious icons of the game. I am working myself to get to even half that level. And if I get lucky enough to do that on Saturday, that'll be great. And I expect many tweets and retweets if that does happen. We'll definitely be retweeting you if that happens. First off, congratulations as well. For everyone who doesn't know about Chris's meteoric rise here through what he's been able to do. Was calling Sam Houston when we were all over Sam Houston a couple years ago. Obviously at Parx now. Just got announced that you're going to be joining the Naira circuit for which is it Aqueduct or Belmont you're going to be calling?
I'll be at Aqueduct. Yep, I'll be at Aqueduct.
So, congratulations, Chris. When is that transition happening?
Yeah, that'll be in January, so that'll be in the wintertime, and it's a wonderful opportunity, and I work hard. I do work hard, and I hope people do realize that. But it's not about patting myself on the back. It's about respecting the booth and doing the job and being able to get in there. And again, the horses and the jockeys and the connections are the story. I'm lucky enough to be able to. This doesn't feel like work. It sounds cliche a little bit, but it doesn't feel like work. This is a fun job to be a part of, and I'm blessed, man, to get these opportunities. I made the move to the East Coast, and the way that opportunities have come my way has been a pure joy. So yeah, looking forward to wintertime. Looking forward to rocking the house on Saturday, and just looking forward to many great races and hopefully some appearances on this show. Even with the Missouri Southern guy over there and the green sweatshirt that we were talking about before I jumped on air.
You can't shut Aaron up. He asks all the questions, doesn't he?
That's right. Yeah, I've been real talkative today.
That's all right. That's all right. You guys handle all the handicapping. You take care of that.
Well, Chris, before we let you go, you mentioned TikTok, Twitter, everything. Where can the fans find you so that they can get an idea of kind of what you do for the sport and how much you do promote the backside and everything that's going on around Parx?
Yeah, surprisingly, Chris Griffin was taken on many social media accounts. It's hard to just say at Chris Griffin and be like, we're good. We're good. I cannot tell you how many times I get the pictures and the memes and the character and whatnot. But whatever. It's all good. So it's at In the Grandstand. At In the Grandstand is where you could find me. I'm on Instagram. I'm not a ton active on Instagram, a little bit. The TikTok's actually at In the Grandstand 10, I think is what it is. And I'm new to TikTok, but it's actually a really fun platform to kind of get into the video side and figure out ways to bring the product to people that are watching at home, because a lot of people watch from home. That's just a reality of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, especially here at Parx. But so you can check me out there. Hit us up on Twitter. I'm not going to be a ton active on Saturday as far as Twitter, and I appreciate people understanding that my phone will probably be put away for the most part. JM Paquette, she'll be rocking the house, and she'll be doing everything from a social media standpoint and really helping us out. Danny Gibson, the PTHA 17, they'll be here at Parx Racing. Of course, you guys can follow throughout the day. And the PHRI Penn Horse Racing, they're going to be out here too. So we got everybody that's going to be out here in Pennsylvania. We got appearances by Jameer Nelson, St. Joe's Hall of Famer, or St. Joe's National Player of the Year, I should say. He will be out here making an appearance. B-Doc is in the BetParx Pennsylvania Derby. B-Doc will be here making an appearance as well. Brian Dawkins is going to be making an appearance at Parx. So, of course, the horse is 20-1, right? Of course he has to be 20-1. But Brian Dawkins will be making an appearance on Saturday as well. And it's a huge day, man. It's a great day. I really respect you guys from a handicapping standpoint, what you guys do. You guys do a really fantastic job, and appreciate you guys wanting to be involved and get your folks involved and looking at Saturday's card. And look, let's have some safe racing. Let's have some great racing, big full fields, and really excited about it, and really, again, honored to be in the booth to do it.
Very cool. Thank you very much for joining us, Chris. Don't forget, there's a horse named Magic Michael that is running. So just in case he does win,
defending champion is running, right?
Yeah, unfortunately not a single in the pick 5 sequence because it's not in the pick 5 sequence, but
right.
just make sure you have that ready. All right, Chris, thank you very much for joining us, man. Everyone, make sure you check out Parx and everything going on over there. We're going to let Chris go, and then Aaron and I are going to jump into this pick 5 sequence that is quite difficult. So thank you very much, Chris, and let's kick this puppy off.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, take care, Chris. All right, let's kick this puppy off with the 9th race over at Parx Racing. It's the Grade 3 Turf Monster, 5 furlongs on the turf. We got a full field here of 12 horses. Last year's was won by 99-1 shot, I believe, Aaron.
Yep.
Kind of got off on a crazy wild sequence here. Where are you going on top here in the Turf Monster?
Yeah, last year I was watching this race while driving down to Oklahoma for a football game, which is what I'll be doing again this year. And I about had a wreck when that 99-1 shot won last year. So hopefully no wrecks this year. Boy, Chris Griffin, great job. Man, that was awesome.
He's a good dude, isn't he?
Let's go on to the question you asked me. I feel like Papa Dude. I'm just beating around the bush all of a sudden. Listen, I went 5 deep here, but I do like the number 4, Nothing Better on top. Look, I've never really handicapped a race where every horse likes to go to the front like this race. It's incredible. I think the big key is what horse can go to the front, but has shown in the past that they can sit off the speed just a little bit. With it being 5 furlongs on the turf, I don't really want one coming from way out of it, but I want somebody just off that pace. I thought the 4-0 better kind of had shown that in the past, the ability to kind of sit off and pounce. So number 4-0 better. That's what I put on top, and that's the first horse I'll use here.
It's going to be the first of many agreements here on this show. I'm not too worried about us ripping through this thing in 35 minutes because I think there's a couple races that we're going to agree. I had the 4 on top as well. I thought Nothing Better made a ton of sense in here. This one I think can stalk and pounce. I think that's the big key difference. Love the pickup of Luis Saez, and I've been a Jorge Duarte Jr. fan for a while. My second choice here was the inside horse. That's right. Chris mentioned this horse should be able to get the lead in a race that does have a ton of speed, but I love that rail draw. Especially with these, you have these massive fields, being able to get the rail and being speed, I think makes a big difference on a day like this. So I put with the 1 as my next horse here. Did you use the 1?
Yeah, I did use the 1, and I'm with you. I like the rail draw for the 1. The thing is, he just needs to break, right? That's going to be the big key. If he doesn't break well, then just toss the ticket on the 1. It's going to be big trouble. Breaks well. If he can just be the speed of the speed, kick clear. Can he hold on? We'll see. But listen, shortest way around the track, obviously. Break well, and I think he'll have a shot at it. We got to get a little bit wild in this sequence or in this first race as well. You kind of got to place some prices in here, mix them in there. So I'll go on to the 11 was one I was very interested in. The turf races, they haven't been too bad, but I really like the speed from the outside. I feel like this is another one that can kind of pick the spot, break, and for whatever reason, if you somehow can get the lead, go ahead and get it. He's fine sitting off of it too. So I think the 11 Smooth B, that was my third horse in. My second horse was That's Right. So like I said, went 5 deep. The third horse was the 11.
Yeah, I left the 11 off. I looked at this one because it was 0 for 11 on the turf, and I just couldn't get around that when I was handicapping. So I went price hunting in a different place. We had agreement, it looks like, on the 5 here. So let's talk a little about the 5. Uncle Ernie, Rosario picking up the mount for John Service. This one I thought was interesting just because you're getting that first-time turf, first time late in the 4-year-old season. I like the workout 2 back. Is there anything else that jumped out at you for Uncle Ernie?
I thought Rosario getting the mount was the big thing. Rosario in turf sprints, very, very solid. I don't want him with a dead closer in a turf sprint because we're going to get way too far behind. But a horse like this, sometimes it can be good when you have this kind of setup, right? Because I don't see him forcing this horse to the lead. I think he'll be patient with him. He might get him sitting 4 or 5 lengths off this thing, which might be where you actually want to be in a spot like this with all that other speed. Listen, no turf form. It's a guess. Broken Vow on the bottom. I don't think that's a bad thing. Listen, I think the horse takes to the turf's got a shot here. I love the 8-1 price. Yeah, so I threw him on there as well.
I went to the 9 as my next horse, Breezy Gust here. So second off the layoff, 5-year-old. Only tried the turf once, only been turf sprinting once. So it's kind of a little bit unknown in that perspective. But Paco takes up the mount. And the main thing to me that jumped out with the 9, I like the 10-1 price first off. But the next part that jumped out to me was the fact that we mentioned how much speed's in here. I think this 9 gets the perfect trip. This is that horse that's going to sit 4 or 5 lengths off the lead and be able to make a run. I like Paco as a turf sprinting jockey. He generally is more aggressive with a lot of these horses, gets them in a pretty good position to be able to make that move and make that run. Not sure if we're good enough, but second off the layoff as a 5-year-old, I'm hoping we can take a step forward. Hopefully we can hail the turf and we should get the right trip. And the 10-1 price, I think, is key here. You mentioned price hunting early. We actually have the same single throughout this sequence, which is kind of crazy as well. And we both thought this was a race we could try and kind of spread out and get a little bit of a price. You use the 2 horse in this spot as well. Tell me a little about the 2.
Yeah, the 2, it's just kind of a why is Irad a jumping aboard. Could just be hey, I needed a mount. This one was open. But look, I think the horse has been keeping pretty good company. Got beat by Big Invasion a couple of times. The race 2 back going 5.5 against Big Invasion and the quick call at Saratoga, that's good enough to compete here. And I just thought, with Irad getting aboard, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a pretty good effort from this horse. I think 5.5 furlongs, he's kind of shown that's where he needs to be. I just thought, well, I think this horse is going to float up from 5-1. I don't know. I don't really want this horse to beat me. If I'm going to go 5 deep in here, this was kind of the 5th one on the ticket. I just kind of felt like that this horse kind of fit if Irad can give him a perfect trip.
Yeah, I was high on Surprise Boss off that Dakota Gold loss. The Dakota Gold, very good horse, obviously down in the New York circuit. And then coming back in that quick call, just couldn't run with Big Invasion. There's no shame in that at all. You saw the same thing from the one horse as well. The two horse beat the one last time out as well. That's right, set the pace and just kind of faded behind Surprise Boss. I don't hate the use here. I think that Surprise Boss could get it done. I'm going to be interested to see what the price is on Surprise Boss as well. I thought 5-1's a little bit short for the horse. And that was my main reason leaving it off. But it's scary leaving Irad off one of these races.
Yeah, that was a big thing. If honestly, if Irad hadn't picked that mount up, I probably would have stayed away. But I don't want to get knocked out by Irad in the first leg, in a leg where I'm going deep anyway, right? I mean, if you're singling here, well, you take your chances. But if I'm going 5 deep and Irad's not a part of it at Parx, I'm probably stupid.
Thanks. Is there anyone in here that you didn't use that you're scared of? I mean, this was the race that produced the bomb last time.
Let's see. 12 are going to actually run in this thing. I used 5. So, yeah, there's 7 of them that I am scared of.
Look at that math. Nice work. The 12's one that I may put on the ticket if I somehow can fit it on there. The numbers don't fit, but Duarte having 2 in here kind of makes me a little nervous. So we'll see if that 12 draws in. And who rides the 12, I think will be interesting. But that one is an interesting one on race day that I keep an eye on.
I thought about the 12 a little bit. Believe it or not, I thought about the 8 a little bit. You know, they tried to get this horse on the turf last time. I thought, well, maybe it gets to the turf and wakes up. But kind of the same story. Not sure what the numbers are going to look like. I'm not sure if the horse is good enough.
Yeah, no, I War Tossin is another one that I thought was interesting. Urias St. Louis and Dexter Haddock have done me well in a lot of tournaments. So I would not be surprised if that combination jumps up and makes some noise here as well. So interesting first race to kind of kick off the sequence. Aaron's ends up going 5 deep. I'm going to go 4 deep. Let's move on to the second race, the Grade 2 Gallant Bob for 3-year-olds for $300,000 going 6 furlongs over the dirt. I thought this was another tough race, and you can kind of see it in the morning line here. Your favorites is 4-1 in this spot, and that's going to be the 3-horse Provocateur. Did you put Provocateur on top here, or did you kind of spread out and find someone else you liked?
Man, I got to tell you, this is an awesome field. This is probably the best, one of the hardest, I guess, fields ever to pick a winner on top. I used Provocateur, but I did not put this horse on top. I put the 9 running son of a gun on top. Here's the deal. I'm just hoping that running against really, really good horses and not getting embarrassed is good enough to beat this field. There's a lot of question marks in the field. I went 5 deep once again. But look, the horse got beat by Charge It 3 races back, Gunite 2 races back, and Jack Christopher and Gunite last time out. Those horses would be heavy favorites in this race. Running son of a gun 6-1. Luis Saya is going to jump back aboard. He's rode before, but Carmouche has been on the last 3 times. I just feel like this is the time for running son of a gun. Maybe he's just the type that's going to get second and third. I think he's going to get all the way up and win this one. So I put the 9 on top in this one.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of agreement here. We're backing up a top picks here. You took the 4 last race. I took the 4 last race. I like running son of a gun here for a lot of the same reasons you said. This is my top pick as well. And I just like the quality and the horses that he's been with here. That last race, I mean, my biggest concern here, okay, 56-1, 2 back in the Amsterdam, 41-1 last time out in the H. Allen Jerkins. Obviously, now taking him at 6-1 is a little bit concerning, but this is so much easier of a field. If we can get back and repeat either of those efforts, it feels like running son of a gun can beat this field. I was actually pretty happy with the 6-1 price. I'm hoping we can get that on race day. Do you think that sticks around?
Nope.
No.
I think he's the favorite because I think everybody's got. Okay, now look, I don't think anybody's going to be a short price, right? He might be the 7-2, 4-1 type, but I think at the end of the day, people are going to see Jack Christopher and Gunite and go to this horse, and they probably should. But good news is we like some other ones that are going to be prices as well. So
yes, we do. So my next horse in was the 11 Nakatomi for the Wesley Ward barn. This one's just kind of gotten better. Very lightly raced 3-year-old by Firing Line. Last time out, gets a 90 buyer, career high, wins off the layoff. Haven't seen this horse since June 26th. I think this is an interesting spot to come back. You don't see Wesley Ward at Parx very often. But when he gets Joel Rosario, he's done very well, 26%. And this is one of those horses that, like, it's sneaky tactical. I mean, there is speed here, but not like the Wesley Ward speed that you normally expect. So I thought the 11 has a big shot in this spot. Did you use the 11? Was that one that made the ticket?
I did use the 11. I think this is the one is okay. How good is he? You know, because he came off that layoff, like you mentioned, and he kind of was just cruise control win. he's going to have to be a bit faster, at least according to the time form numbers. I don't have the buyers in front of me. I think he's going to have to be a bit faster, but there's every reason to believe he's going to be faster in this race than what we've seen in the past. You remember him as a 2-year-old? He actually got drafted in our fantasy league as a 2-year-old turning 3, and then of course didn't run until it was too late. But you remember that race at Keeneland? He really showed a ton of speed, or a ton of talent, I should say. Beat My Prankster, a horse that was pretty good at the time. Beat Chad a lot. He was pretty good at the time. And like I said, the last race was pretty good. I did use the 11. I don't know. This horse, I think, could be favored as well. I think he's one that people are going to see, hey, we could get a jump up here, and it's very logical that he's going to do it.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see the favorite being more than 7-2 in this spot. I think you're going to get a price pretty much wherever you want to go. We both use Provocateur, the 3-horse. This just makes a ton of sense, right? It's Pletcher, it's Irad. This horse won last time out. Last time, 2 back, faced Jack Christopher and Papa Cap and got beat by 10 lengths, but was still a very good Woody Stevens effort for going 7 furlongs in my mind. So it just kind of a common sense use there. So I don't think we need to spend too much time on that horse. Where else did you go here? I know we have one long shot we both like. Do you want to talk a little about the 12?
Yeah, we'll talk about the 12, and I can do that and talk about my last one because they come out of the same race, and it came over at Charlestown. So I do like the 12 a lot. I hope quite a bit. Last time out at Charlestown, did win the Robert Milton Stakes. Robert Hilton Memorial Stakes. I'll get it right the third time. That was a $250,000 purse. That was on Charlestown Classic night. So pretty decent field. Before that, beat a ungraded stakes field at Laurel by 15. So the horses really come on. Those races were at 7 furlongs, 6 furlongs though. I think the horse can compete. I thought at 10-1, this was one you got to use. A lot of speed in the race. This horse comes from out of it. I think that's really good. And coming out of that race at Charlestown is the number 2 of a Revolution, was my last horse in. Got second behind A Lot of Hope. But I think the 6 furlong races are a little bit better for this one. So I think the cutback's going to help. So I did round it out with the 2 and the 12 there.
Yeah, the cutback is the concern with the 12. Better at 7 than 6. At least that's what we've seen from the past performances. Interesting to see the difference in the morning line odds here. So the 2 horses 6-1 on the morning line, the 12 10-1. Last time out, they were $2.10 and $2.30. So really not much difference. It'll be interesting to see if those odds stay. Flavian Pratt jumping aboard the 2, I think, is going to definitely force some money in that direction. But hopefully we can get a nice price here on the 12, because I agree with you. I think the 12 is a big chance. I use the 12 and not the 2. A little concerned about the 2, but I didn't want to go too crazy with my ticket, so that's kind of why I left that one off there. But another competitive race here. I'll ask you the same question I asked you last time. Is there a horse that kind of was the last cut or just ended up on the cutting room floor here for you that you wish you could have used?
A lot of them, honestly. This is one, it could go a lot of different ways. We saw the number 10 Lightning Larry, how good that horse was at his best when he won the Chick Lang at 12-1 on Preakness Day. And we're all like, what just happened? Right. So he's definitely one that I'm a little bit worried about. I'm also worried about the number 5 Little Vic, second off the layoff. I think the horse is going to improve. Has some races in the past performance that maybe can make him a little bit competitive. And how about all the way to the 14? I don't like the post, but the horse has won 2 in a row over this course. So yes, I'm worried about a lot of them.
Yeah, Scaramucci, the 14, I'll say it, don't worry, is the one that kind of jumped out at me as well. We mentioned horse for course with Chris and kind of talking about, hey, what local horses could pop up. This one is one that in my mind could pop up. You got Guadalupe Presacato that is the trainer of this horse, 25% of Parx. This horse specifically 5 for 6 over Parx. And now you get John Velasquez, who picks up this mount. And I don't mind that 14 post. Yeah, it's not wonderful, but I think you're going to be able to figure out where to sit as you run into this first turn, because the horse is not going to be on the lead. It's going to be kind of behind that first flight of horses. So I think you should be able to save a little bit of ground and then try to make your own trip from there. So we'll see what John Velasquez can do with that 14. That's one that I might add if we lose a scratch or here or there, because I do think that you always have one of these local horses at Parx every year that wins one of these races. And I think Scaramucci could be that horse this year.
Yep, I agree. I'm worried about that one.
All right, let's head on the 11th over at Parx, the Grade 1 Cotillion here, a mile and a 16th on the dirt. To me, the most interesting race in this sequence, because I think there's a lot to unpack here. Let's start with a Dairy Manor, which I think is a place that a lot of handicappers are going to start. 2 horse in this spot for Bob Baffert, Mike Smith aboard. Last 2 races, this horse was not trained by Bob Baffert. The two prior to it were monster efforts out of the Bob Baffert barn. We're getting back into the Bob Baffert barn. We've seen a lot of these horses that went other places that are now getting back to their form. Here's a Dare Manor who was supposed to be the best 3-year-old filly for a long time, now showing up here. Neither of us are using her. What was your reasoning on not using a Dare Manor?
Here's the deal. She just never really beat much in those blowout wins, right? She's a lot like the female version of Messier. Now, we haven't really got to see what Messier is truly made of, because when he left Santa Anita, it was a crazy-ass derby, but he was right up on the pace, and we haven't seen him. So probably not fair to say he sucks. But this horse, we saw it, right? Went to the Santa Anita Oaks, huge favorite of 3-5, and got beat by an Arizona bred. Now, Dares of Dawn is not awful, but she's not a world beater either, folks. Went to the Black-Eyed Susan, got beat by Interstate Daydream. We kind of found out last time out, Interstate Daydream's not really a world beater either. So those two races had me a little skeptical on Adari Manor. She may beat me. I'll be the first to say it. I think she's going to take a lot of money. I think we can get around her here.
I agree with the take a lot of money. I think she may actually go off the favorite in this spot, which is kind of crazy. I realize we have Secret Oath in here, who is your morning line favorite, and deservingly so. But it's going to be interesting to see how much money pours in for a Bob Baffert horse who's coming back here with those numbers. I completely agree with you. I don't think she beat much on the East Coast. I don't think we've seen anything from the East Coast fillies in the last 2 years in these 3-year-old classes. And so I'm not willing to take any type of a short price on a horse that's coming back with a ton of question marks, that it really the feathers in her cap are all beating West Coast horses, West Coast fillies that just aren't that good.
Yep.
All right, let's go here. Who's your top pick here? Did you end up with? So I put Secret Oath on top. We've talked about Secret Oath and Nest in those last two races that they ran against each other. Nest dominated two back. Secret Oath got the trip last time and still got blown out. But Nest is the best 3-year-old filly in the country. Did you see enough to put Secret Oath on top here?
I didn't, and here's the deal. This is one of my favorite horses ever. By Arrogant, out of Absinthe Minded, a horse who got me into the racing big time. Like, I would go to Oakland just to watch Absinthe Minded when she was running. So I love Secret Oath, but I just can't back her at a short price on top. I'm gonna use her. I am gonna use her. Because you know what? I think the pace could be hot. I think her best trip is to sit back, make one run, so that she could mow him down. I didn't go that way on top. I went Green Up on top. You heard Chris mention this horse as well. It's won 4 races in a row, and it's just absolutely blown out horses. And you remember the horse Interstate Daydream, who beat Adari Manor in the Black-Eyed Susan? Yeah, Green Up absolutely dominated Interstate Daydream last time out at Parx in the Catherine Sophia, which is the local prep for this race coming up here on Saturday. So Irad Ortiz came down to ride her that day, back on her again, obviously, after that. Well, I'm telling you, I think this horse is really nice, and I think 1.16 is perfect. Listen, she may get outclassed by Secret Oath. I'm going to go Green Up on top and take my chances.
I'm using her as well. I'm going 3 deep. I love the fact that she's won over this track. I love the fact that Irad rode her in that race and now gets to ride her again. Chris mentioned the distance should not be any issue here, so I'm not worried about that even a little bit. I also like the fact that we're a little more tactical. Green Up can decide what trip that she wants. Irad can decide what trip he wants on this horse, whether or not it's go to the lead or stay close to the lead. Being on the rail helps out here as well. So you're going to save ground around that first turn. I'm not worried about getting buried because of that tactical speed. I think there's a lot of things to like about Green Up. I'm really interested to see what the price is here, because Your Honor, I obviously like her. The chat is all over the 1.6, 1.67. We're seeing that consistently here coming in this race. What do you think Green Up actually goes off at in this spot? And do you think Green Up goes to the lead, or do you think this is you let Adari Manor go? What do you think that the connections are thinking from a race setup perspective?
Well, first question, I think 3-1 is probably about right. Honestly, that's what I would expect. Second question, it's a good one, and I think it's the key. It depends on what Adari Manor does, right? I think she can kind of go out there and control it, but at the same time, we just haven't seen her do that the last 2 races. She hasn't gotten that lead. I also think the 9 Society's got a lot of speed. I think with Adari Manor breaking right to the outside, Irad's got the advantage. He's just going to kind of read what's happening there. If she doesn't break well or whatever, just take the lead. Try to take him gate to wire. If she flies out there, Green Up has shown, and you said it, she can be tactical. She'll just sit kind of right behind in that first flight, save the ground, tip out and go. I think that's the ideal trip. I'd love to see the 2 and the 9 go out there, be battling, and Green Up sit right there in third, a couple of links off, like just waiting to pounce. That's in my mind how I kind of see it going now. Horse racing will laugh at your stupid ideas once the gates break, but that's kind of the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I would expect that you're going to see Society go as well. You mentioned the 9 horse there. I think the 4 is kind of sneaky to go, 30-1, but probably pace presence coming out of a 6 furlong race where it went 22 and 4, 46. You have a decent enough early pace, and you're not winning this race if you're the 4 by doing anything but try and go gate to wire. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see the 4 inject some pace in here as well. This is where we diverge. I went with the 1 and the 6. I went to the 7. I'm going to pull this up before I butcher the name. Shahama here for the Todd Pletcher barn. This is the other one I was interested in specifically because I think we're going to sit a beautiful trip right behind the speed here. I like the fact that you get Pratt back aboard for this horse, Rotor in the Mother Goose. This is one where I just think it's going to take time for her to come around in the Todd Pletcher barn. She's been asked to run in back-to-back graded stakes since coming to America. This is the spot where I think you're finally going to see the best of her because she's been in the Todd Pletcher barn long enough to really have him be able to develop out the talent and understand what she's good at and what she needs to win. So I'm excited to see Shahama come out here and what she can do. And I like the 8-1 price. I think I'm going to get every bit of it because I think that the two and the 6 are both taking quite a bit of money in this spot. And I think your horse is going to get bet as well. So I'm hoping I get 8-1 on Shahama, but we'll see what ends up happening here. But I'm going to end up 1-6-7 in this spot.
I like Shahama. That was the last horse off the ticket for me. If you feel like you can narrow down the first 2 legs, the Shahama would be one that's logical to throw on. Here's why I picked Gerrymander over Shahama. Okay, and it's a simple one. The last time these 2 raced at a mile and 16th, Gerrymander beat Shahama by 3. Now it was at Belmont. It was a 1-turn mile 16th race. Now we're going 2 turns. Shahama looked great last time out at Monmouth. Gerrymander got kind of smoked by the best horses in the crop. I'm going to take a guess that maybe Gerrymander just hated the 1.25 miles, doesn't really have a pedigree that suggests a 1.25 miles is within the range. The cut back to a mile and 16th is going to be awfully good for her. I think it's very debatable, though, because I do think the 2-turn aspect of it could kind of switch over to Shahama's favor. But I just can't get that in my head, man. Gerrymander looked so good that day in the Mother Goose winning that race. I thought, we're back at a mile 16th. That's the filly I want to use. So I put her in there as the 3rd horse on.
I don't blame you. That race was nice. I'm worried it's that 1-turn mile and 16th that helped her. We'll see if the 2 turns makes a difference. But she did look very good there and obviously beat Shahama. So I get it. It's going to be interesting to see what Rosario does on this horse as well, because you've seen this horse win up front, win from the back. You have no idea what he's going to decide to do.
I have no comment on that. But
all right, let's head on to the feature here. The Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby, $1 million for 3-year-old colts. Mile and 1/8 here over the dirt course there at Parx. You've got all the usual suspects in here. We've got Xandon. We've got Cyberknife. We've got Tava. We've got Tawny Port. We've got White Abario making a return. Simplification's back. This is another spot where I think it's a very interesting race. There's going to be a lot of big opinions from people coming from all over the place. Obviously, you saw some very good efforts from Xandon at Saratoga. We saw Cyberknife be able to win the Haskell, then come back and run second there in the Travers. Neither of us are using either of those. We're both singling. You want to kick it off and tell everybody where we're singling here?
Well, here we go, right? This is it. Hopefully we're alive to this point. Look, I'm singling number 8, Tava. You said it. We're both singling. Here's the deal. You've got to, all these races are tough, right? If you could afford it, you just go 4 or 5 deep in all of them, right? But I'm telling you right now, you got to just pick the one horse that you want to play through and go with it and try to build around it and hope your opinion is right. My strongest opinion on the 5 races is Tava. So that's what I'm going to play through with this single. Look, this is the first time since his maiden race he's actually spotted in a logical race. Let's look back at this horse. Off of a maiden going 6 furlongs, we went to a 1 1/8 Santa Anita Derby. Never should have been in the race. He won, okay? But the price he's paid is the rest of his season so far up to this point has just been a mess. They had to go to the Derby off of that because he looked too damn good, and that was a disaster. Then instead of, third race was the Kentucky Derby where things went haywire. Instead of going to an allowance or a listed stakes, they go to the Haskell and they take on Jack Christopher and Cyberknife. Not easy. That is not an easy ask. I felt like last time out was the first time he was able to run a race and they actually learned something about him, right? They said all kinds of things. Maybe we don't think he likes running inside of horses. Well, that's pretty easy to correct now that you know it. But they had no way to know it and learn it in a race that's logical where he could win easily. He was in a dogfight. I think they kind of figured out, we don't need to move that early on him. Wait a little bit. I think he waited on horses once he got to the lead. You go back and watch that at the top of the stretch. This horse was gone. I was standing right next to Vinny from Real Dynasty and Jason Hommel, usually a commenter on the show. We looked at each other and said, oh my God, it's 5 lengths. And we look back at the screen and it's like, well, here comes Cyberknife, and I don't think he saw him. He's going to get revenge on him. I love that he skipped the next round of races. He's been working out great. I think he comes up here fresh. I think he catches the Cyberknife horse. But man, he ran really hard in the Travers. Maybe he's not ready for the top effort. I'm singling Taiba, Somich.
I am too. And for all the reasons you said, and because I think that this is a horse that's just getting better still. Like you hear about the way Bob Baffert talks about him. They mentioned in the chat here. Shadi mentioned it. Compared Taiba to Silver Charm this morning. A horse that almost won the Triple Crown. No big deal. And you go back and you watch that Haskell. And you go back and you watch the San Anita Derby. Not professional. Not even a little bit. Right? And even in the Haskell, the horse you mentioned at the top of the stretch looked like the winner by 5. At the top of the turn looked like a loser by 15. And then all of a sudden, clicked into gear, and you see this monster move. And then you mentioned it as well. Got to the front, and just like, la-di-da. We're just going to hang out up here. We're not going to open up. When Taiba puts it together, watch out. And I don't know if it's here. I don't know if it's the next race, but it's coming, and it's going to be impressive when it all comes together. We're scratching the surface through what we have seen so far based on the talent and the mental awareness this horse has. As soon as they both click in, it's going to be scary. Look, I don't want to love Taiba. I'll be completely honest. I wish I didn't like Taiba because of the connections and everything else. But I also want to pick winners. And you're dealt the hand, you play the hand you're dealt. And in this case, Taiba is scary good when it all gets right. And I think you're going to see it get right here on Saturday.
If it doesn't get right Saturday, I don't know that it's going to happen this year. This is the perfect spot. Yeah, it's a tough field, but at least it's the logical spot, right? I argued with Jared. I said, look, the Haskell was not a great spot for that horse. It was crazy to put him in that grade 1.
Also wasn't allowed.
Well, I mean, that's true too. But I don't know. I just feel like this is the spot. I am not like a Taiba fanboy like Jared, but I look at this and it's like I learned in the Haskell, he's got major ability because I really question San Anita Derby. I don't really know what Messier is yet. Good win, no doubt, but I didn't know that it was a great win, fantastic win. And the Kentucky Derby was just awful. He showed a lot in the Haskell, and you're right. If he just improves, progresses, doesn't have to figure it all out, just takes a step towards figuring it all out, he should win in this spot.
All right, so we talked quite a bit about Taiba. Let's talk about the rest of the horses in this race because they deserve some time here on the show. I had Cyberknife in second. I was really impressed with what Cyberknife did in the Haskell and then was able to run back in the Travers. I don't love the idea of chalking out here, but sometimes in these races, you've seen enough. There is no unknowns in this race. You kind of know everybody here, and I think we know who the best 2 horses are. Did you have Cyberknife sitting in second as well?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-horse race. I don't really know a reason why you would think it's not a 2-horse race. Now, it's horse racing, and sometimes it certainly does not shake out like that. But, I mean, Cyberknife has been fantastic his last 2 races. The Haskell, that's the thing. Taiba would have won the Haskell if Cyberknife doesn't run a fantastic race. He backed it up in the Travers, man. He went out there, he set the pace, and he held on for second. I thought that was gritty. I think the cut back to mile and 1/8 is going to be much better for him. Yeah, I think he's in second. I like him a lot.
Real quick, this is a question from CJ I think is pretty interesting. I can get Taiba right now 2-1 fixed odds. Would you take 2-1 on Taiba, or do you think you're going to get something different at post time here? 5-2 morning line right now in 11-horse field.
I like him an awful lot, so I'm thinking he's going to be like 7-5, 8-5. But people do like Cyberknife. People are really gravitating towards Zandon in the spot. Tough call, CJ. I bet at worst you're going to break even on that. I think he is going to get bet down to 2-1 at least.
if you're betting $50 to win, I'd put 25 of it on 2-1, and I'd save the other 25 to see what you get when the first click comes, because I think that would give you at least some guaranteed 2-1 money. Because I agree with Aaron. I think if when we both single a horse and it's in this type of race, generally that means that horse is usually going to get bet, just from what we've seen kind of go through the years, really, in these type of spots. You mentioned Zandon, logical third choice as well here. I don't have him in third. I have him in fourth, so we'll get there in a second. Do you think Zandon can actually win this race? Because we talked about Zandon a lot, finishing second and third. No epicenter today. Still a tough field. Does 5-1 on Zandon seems really short to me personally. Would you play him at 5-1? What would you need to bet Zandon in this spot?
I would need more than 5-1. Look, I'm a huge fan of Zandon. I think he's beautiful horse. I mean, gorgeous. I was a huge fan of him in the Bluegrass. Here's the key. He's facing Smile Happy in the Bluegrass. He just hasn't been able to beat horses better than Smile Happy when he's jumped up. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of horses can't do that. Listen, he had no excuse to get beat to Epicenter in the Kentucky Derby, let alone Ridge Strike. He had absolutely no excuse in the Jim Dandy to let Epicenter beat him. Forget about Epicenter in the Travers. He was unbelievable. Zandon had zero excuse not to beat Cyberknife for second. People are excited that Rosario gets aboard. He is strong. He's a strong closing rider. I just can't back Zandon until he shows me he can beat a field like this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to play a cold try. And so I'm going to play 8-5. And then I'm going to put the 4, my old friend Skippy Longstocking in third, who I think has a legit shot here at hitting the board at a decent price. Maybe even put a little Skippy in second there to try and sprinkle in a little bit of value. That last race was really good. And I talked about this horse at the Preakness. I talked about horse in the Belmont. Comes back and looks awesome in the West Virginia Derby. I think this is a really good distance for Skippy Longstocking, who, by the way, has tactical speed. Could sit a really nice trip in this spot. I kind of like the 4 if I'm going to try and beat the 8 from a price perspective.
Well, we're either going to lose together or win together, because I'm right there with you. I've got Skippy Longstocking in third. This horse has been really, really good. The West Virginia Derby was an exceptional race, really. If you go back and watch that, We the People had it all his own way, and he could not hold off Skippy, and he tried. He battled back on him, but he couldn't hold him off. For me, I would rather take Skippy than a Simplification or White Barrio. I think they're kind of cooked. I kind of know what they are. Sure, they may beat me, but I'll try to take that up and coming horse and Skippy Longstocking a little bit. Yeah, I'm with you. I think he can juice this up.
I love it. All right, Long Ride, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Coming in from the Philippines, 5:52 in the morning. Just woke up, made breakfast for the kids. You gotta tell us what you made, man. You can't leave us hanging like that. We doing an omelet here. We got cereal with some milk. I mean, we gotta know what you're making here. All right, let's head to the last race here, Aaron. 13th race on the card, the Alphabet Soup. Awesome horse, by the way. Go watch him win the Breeders' Cup Classic at Woodbine, I believe it was. Going to mile 16th on the turf here. Your favorite on the rail by Land and Sea. We've had 3 top picks the same. I put the 1 on top. Are we making it 4?
Yeah, I put the 1 on top. Somich, this horse should not lose the race. Plain
really
and simple.
Shouldn't. Really should. I almost went single to close this and spread more earlier.
The only reason I didn't, I don't know. I don't mind the trainer change. I almost said because of the trainer change, I don't really mind it. Dutro to Prashado, it doesn't really matter much. It's at Parx. Look, this horse has lone speed on paper.
Yep.
Horse gets the rail. And I spotted in a super logical race. This horse should dominate.
Yeah. I mean, you nail on the head there, right? Like I'm going to be looking at what this double pays, the 8-1 double, just a heads up for everybody out there who think about in-day betting. I think that this is one of those where if you like the 8, you like the 1, and you get a double price, it's 10, 15 to 1, somewhere in that range. It's a wonderful bet. This horse should be a pretty heavy favorite in the race. I'm expecting 6 to 5, 7 to 5 range. Clearly the best horse on paper, clearly lone speed, gets the rail. Nice trainer switch. I'm not worried about switching barns because you got a solid trainer here. You get a jockey that knows the track well. It could be tough. We both went too deep here. Who's the other one that we both used?
Yeah, I think the number 6 Midnight Haulers one you got to use just because look at the 2 turf races. I mean, this horse, I don't know how they didn't run this horse on the turf sooner. He's been fantastic in both those races. He beat You Must Chill last time out. It's a pretty decent horse. The numbers fit. This to me is kind of the 1 is just too good to be true, and it is a Pennsylvania bred, and maybe he doesn't show up. I think the 6 is clearly the second best. I'm going to use the 6, So, yeah, I mean, not a lot of reinventing the wheel here. This look like the two best sources to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought about the 3 with IRAD getting aboard, but the turf races are atrocious. The dirt numbers fit. The turf races suck. But second off a layoff, you get IRAD. I don't hate the 3 at a price, but I didn't want to spend too much here. And if I wanted to spread, I would have singled the 1 here and went deeper earlier.
Yeah, I mean, and that was kind of the thing. You play around with the 1 a little bit, but I just thought, you know what? Do I want to be single to a horse like Taba or a horse like this? Table 1 out. That maybe. If Cyberknife wins, that's going to be sad, but that's just the decisions you got to make on these.
All right, that's all we got for the Parx late pick 5 here. Before we go, we're going to give out the tickets. I will go first. 50-cent ticket for me, 1, 4, 5, 9 with 3, 9, 11, 12 with 1, 6, 7 with 8 with 1, 6. That'll cost you $48 for 50 cents. Aaron, what do you got for us?
Yeah, we're pretty similar. I'm going 1, 2, 4, 5, 11 with 2, 3, 9, 11, 12 with 1, 5, 6 with 8 with 1, 6. $75 for mine.
For everyone scoring at home, we both have the 4 on top in the first race. We both have the 9 on top in the second race. My top pick is the 6 in the third. Aaron's is the 1, who's my third pick. We're both using them. We both have Taba as a single, and we both have the 1 on top in the last. A $5 pick 5 would cost you $10 with those horses. I may be punching that in myself just because when Aaron and I agree, usually it's a good result. Real quick before we go, I know you got to jump on another show here in about 2 minutes. Talk about some Thursday night football. We always do it here on the Thursday night show. We got the Browns. We've got the Steelers. We've got some trash quarterbacks and a whole bunch of wind. Where are you leaning here on this game, Aaron?
Like I said this morning, it makes me sick, but I am leaning on the Browns here. I think they can run the ball a little bit better than Pittsburgh tonight. And I think that's the key to the whole thing. I know the quarterbacks, neither one of them are going to play very well. One thing, Jacoby Brissett, at least he's mobile. Maybe he can make a couple plays with his feet. Maybe that'll help. I'll just take a little shot with the Browns, but it's going to be rough.
Yeah. Real quick in the chat. So I like the first half under 19. The Browns went up to 4.5. I've been waiting on them to go to 2.5 for the whole day in the first half. I haven't been able to get it. You can pay juice on Bookmaker, get Browns minus 116 for the first half, minus 2.5. I took a little bit of that. I took a little under 19 first half. I think that's a solid bet as well. Before we go, 2 quick things. First off, I haven't looked at the Oklahoma Derby yet, but I bet Aaron has. Who do you like in the Oklahoma Derby?
Yes. No, I'm not going to say right now. Tune in to Blinkers Off, Davey, and we will tell you. We're going to cover the Oklahoma Derby coming up here in a couple of seconds.
And look at that. And lastly, tournament news.
Yes.
Holy buckets, we got it. So we've been trying to figure out how to do this to kind of change it up. We're going to be doing a tournament series over at racingdudes.com starting this Saturday, open to anyone, not just subscribers. You can join for $20. The top 5 or 1 in every 10 will make it into the final tournament where we're going to seed the pool with $500. And if you are a subscriber, when you win your seat and when you win the tournament, you'll get an extra $250 cash. So we're seeding it with $750 for you to play into, and we'll try and do live shows during these tournaments as well. The plan is to have is at least 1 a month, not positive on the number, but at least 1 a month. And we're moving the buy-in from 10 to 20 so that there's some serious cash available too in those first tournaments as well. So all of this is coming. It's starting this Saturday. The tournament is already available. Check your email. It'll be in the daily blast emails. I'm sure we'll tweet it out a couple times as well. So make sure to check out the new Racing Dudes tournament series starting this Saturday.
It's on the main website too. You go to racingdudes.com. It's the third post. It says tournament return if you want to check that out right now as well. Yep.
So yeah, we got tournament news. Sorry it took so long. We needed to work with horse tourneys to figure out how to be able to do this and how to make it so that there's a cool way to do prizes at the end. So this Saturday going to be the first in the series. The top 5 at least will qualify through to the finals, and the finals will be on, I want to say it is December 26th at Santa Anita.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we decided. So we're going to try and make these major tournament Saturdays as well. So it's a lot of the things that you've handicapped. And we'll also be focusing on single cards versus the spread out tournaments so that we can jump on and talk through big time cards from big time tracks and have some fun with it. So thank you for sticking with us. Really appreciate that. We will be back Saturday. I know a bunch of people have been asking about it, and that's kind of what we've been able to work out here.
Yeah, and it's real quick. We weren't like ignoring them, didn't want to do them, hated you guys. No, it was just we wanted to work out something that was kind of a little bit more, I don't know what the word is. It's like more fun, really, than what we've been doing. So that's what we've been doing. We've been working with horse tourneys, and anyway, yeah. We saw the response, and we wanted to biggie size it. This is how we did that. So we're getting the big time thing. Yeah. So it's open to the public as well, which means this is going to grow quite a bit. So we're hoping to get anywhere from 50 to 100 people in these things and see what happens. So we're gonna have some fun with it, baby. Yeah. Structured. Thank you, Dr. Tang. I could not think of the word.
All right, I'm going to get out of here. So we'll play some outro music. Aaron's probably going to jump right back on here. He's got blinkers off. Make sure you stick around. And right after that, Aaron's going to go 3 straight hours because he's got Dudes Who Bet Sports leading you into the Thursday night football game. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for the Magic Mike Show. We will be back on Monday with a recap. Magic will be back as well. Maybe we'll do a pick 4, pick 5 because, hey, why not? We do that every now and then. Aaron, good luck today. You're doing the 5 shows today. I'm proud of you, man. Way to go.
I'm tough.
All right, take care, everybody. Good luck this weekend.
It's been another week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? 2 bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts because they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.